Welcome to the Parenting Coach Podcast with Crystal. Over 7 years ago, I felt like I was stuck in this cycle of yelling and reactivity in my parenting that I did not want to be in, but I didn't know how to get out of. I knew how I wanted to parent pretty much exactly, and I'd spent hours reading books, but not finding a way to show up how I wanted to. That's when I started to turn inwards. My own inward journey was what my family needed. As I changed, everything around me changed. My kids' meltdowns decreased by 90% or more with no medications or therapy. I stopped yelling, sibling fighting became almost entirely non-existent, and I found that this change flowed into other areas of my life too. My intuition increased. I started to run my life and business in a very different way. If this sounds like something you want to, I can help. Join me each week as I share my journey, including the laughter, fun, hard times, and tears. Tune in for support, guidance, and fun conversations with my favorite experts, and really anything else that interests me too. Recipe for learning. Children learn best when they like their teacher and they think their teacher likes them. What are you trying to teach your children? Do you know how learning happens? Naturally. It comes naturally with a few specific ingredients, ones that may not seem so necessary, but truly are. A Recipe for Learning was first published in the July 2024 monthly bundle of the Wild and Free magazine. Today, you'll hear my story of frustration and tantrums from both me and my young son when we first started our homeschooling journey, how unlearning about learning was the path to deeper and more natural learning in our homeschool, for me too. Relationships matter most, how learning comes naturally from creating the environment for it to happen. The ingredients to a messy and imperfect relationship, but one that is full of joy, confidence, connection, and growth. Hello, I'm excited for today's episode. About a year ago or so, I connected with one of my favorite authors. Her name is Ainsley Armand, and she wrote a book called Call of the Wild and Free. I think that's what it's called. It's called Wild and Free, something to do with Wild and Free. I can't remember the subtitle, but it's all about homeschooling. And I read it years and years and years ago, and it really helped to settle in this kind of journey that I'd gone through of unlearning how kids learn and what education needs to look like, and relearning what I really felt like learning was and what was important to me and what I wanted in my home. And her story was very similar to my story, so I felt very connected to it. And I love that book, and I tell people about that book all the time. So a year or so ago, I connected with her, and I asked her about how to publish an article in her magazine. She has this beautiful monthly magazine. You can get it in print, but they also have a downloadable copy of it. They have more articles downloaded than what they print out in the magazine. And it's just really pretty, beautiful pictures, fun homeschooling ideas, projects, recipes, stuff like that. It's so fabulous. And I saw it in real life at one of my friends' house down here, Ashley. And I was like, oh, this is such a beautiful magazine. Anyway, so I connected with her, asked her how I go about doing this. And she said, why don't you submit a piece and we'll see how it goes. And so I submitted this piece, and it was like way over the words that it was supposed to be. And I sent her an email and I said, I tried cutting it down. I did what I can. I even put it in this like AI chat GPT thing and was like, can you make this into less words? And it sounded mechanical and it didn't sound like me. And I just like, here you go, take it or leave it. Like, I can't do anything to change it, 'cause like, this is the story that needs to be told. And she said, you are a beautiful writer, and I love this. And this is exactly what people need to hear. And I cried reading her words via email, because if, someone who I respect, someone who I love was like this, you have a talent here. This is great. Anyway, so it was a cool experience for me. It just came out in July of 2024, and it was a really great story. And I wanted to share that story here with you as well, for all of those people that don't subscribe to the Wild and Free magazine. So I'm going to share it with you. It's called A Recipe for Learning, and you won't be able to see all the beautiful photos that go with it, but you'll be able to hear the story that is on my heart and the story that I want to share, and that I think the world needs to hear more of. And this is definitely what I would have needed years ago as well, and what feels true to me. So here we go. A Recipe for Learning by Crystal Heitzman, Wild and Free magazine. Children learn best when they like their teacher and they think their teacher likes them. That's a quote from Dr. Gordon Neufeld. Reading that quote years ago hit me like a ton of bricks. I was the teacher. And if I was the teacher and wanted my children to learn, how would that happen if our relationship was suffering? And yes, our relationship was suffering. I have 4 kiddos, several which have different flavors of neurodiverse brains, mine included, which can lead to some pretty tough parenting moments. In 2013, when I decided to homeschool my oldest at age 6, who is now 17, I thought that a few years home together would be just the thing to help our relationship. That if we spent more time together, we would start to get along better. What I now know that more time with someone you struggle to relate to is not the main ingredient for creating a healthier relationship. In fact, I think in many ways it started to make things worse. Don't you find mostly things get worse before they get better? I definitely do. I would push, he would push back. I would say math and he would pull away. I would say write, he would do anything but write. I would say read and he would hate reading even more than he already did, if that was possible. I knew nothing of home education when we started. I'd read no books, had no resources, and had no one go on before me. In many ways, I was a pioneer in my circle, going first, paving the way, without the resources, support, and guidance of anyone who had done so. I did what so many of us do when we start out. I modeled the public schooling experience in our home. It failed miserably. And if you're hearing this and you've ever had this experience, I'm sure you can relate to this. My pushing kept leading to less learning on his part. This sweet, kind, loving, boisterous, rambunctious little boy was being shoved into a box of my unintentional design, a box that did not suit him and that was definitely not made for him. My sweet little boy, whom I wanted so desperately to teach, seemed to push away from everything that was required of him. I noticed this, I saw this, and I was lucky to meet an amazing facilitator who worked in our area and helped me to see that my pushing was making the learning worse. Over time, as I started to loosen my hold on what I'd frantically clung to as education, I also noted other things. Our relationship had suffered from years of push. Not only had it changed our relationship in the ways that I wanted to when starting out, and my only reason for home learning at that time, but I had made it much, much worse. Now you can see why Neufeld's quote was so jarring for me. I saw why learning wasn't happening. It had nothing to do with my lack of spending money or on amazing curriculums, reading books, investing in extracurricular programs, or the like. It was our relationship. That was the core. That was the invisible root that I had not seen, or maybe was not willing to see. And that was where I needed to start. We've created a healthy, solid relationship now, and not just with that child who is graduating his early years of education and headed to college, but with 3 more children as well. We have a relationship in which we talk openly, share our thoughts, can be ourselves, make mistakes, apologize, prioritize connection and time with each other, and cheer on each other's growth. A relationship where I see my job not as the enforcer, as I was once led to believe, but as the nurturer, gardener, and guide. In this type of relationship, I get to work on me so that I can better show up for them. I know my only role is to create a home where they get to wholly be themselves and feel safe, held, loved, and supported. They have the space and the nervous system regulation to get to know themselves, to uncover who they are, and to be guided by their own ideas, opinions, desires, and inner knowing. Looking back on almost 12 years of home education, I see that this was the main ingredient: relationship. It mattered most then, and it matters most now. I will also add, this is at any age. So even if you're listening to this and have adult children or your kids are really little, like before school, this is for you as well. It creates the most amazing little humans who turn into big humans, who move on and change the world in their own unique way, and in a way that only they can. And I get to be here for it. What a gift. Read the following recipe. Also, I'm reading this out loud to you, so imagine this is an audiobook. Read the following recipe knowing that you know your child and situation more than anyone else. Know that if something feels true to you, sticks out to you, or calls to you in a special way, that is what you listen to. Don't take this recipe in the way we take most, following it with precision, not missing a step or ingredient. Take it loosely, like baking your favorite sourdough, maybe after some months of practice, where you do it by feel, look, and smell, and where so often no recipe is followed at all. This is my recipe for relationship. Number 1, connection. A healthy dose of connection is the root. This is the base, the flower, the main gig. One of my favorite ways to measure connection is to number it. What is my relationship like with this child? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would I give it? The next part is the most important, as this is just a thought experiment. Why is it not a 10? This is an easy way to see what may be getting in the way of connecting with others in the way you want. Is it a way of thinking that needs to change? Is it you dwelling on your own inadequacies that might be getting in the way of a deeper connection? See what's there, write it out, ponder on it, question it, stay with it, and see what rises. Number 2, self-work. These words can often feel like a search to find a concrete tool that works for you, but it's so much deeper than that. There is no one right way to self-work. For many years, it has been meditation for me. Life coaching has also changed me in deep ways. And other times it's the community of a retreat or a book or a podcast or spending hours journaling or walking in the woods. Allow yourself to find what feels right for you, the thing that helps you foster a deep connection with your own self. The depth we can meet ourselves in true connection is the depth we can meet others in connection. Number 3, intuition. This may sound like a fluffy out there word, but what it means to me is tuning out of societal expectations, opinions, and ideals, especially that of experts that we put on an invisible pedestal to outsource our life choices to, and instead insourcing. Trusting that we may have answers that don't follow conventional wisdom, that our hearts and souls might guide us without being a certified expert in some field, that the more we can listen to the singing of our heart, what do I enjoy? What do I want in life? What do I feel called to? The more us we feel. The safety, security, and connection that we want to foster for our children starts with fostering it in ourselves. Listen to your desires and let them guide you. Listen to the quiet whisperings of your soul and trust them. Be your own expert, whatever that means, and pave a way that feels right for you in every arena you find yourself in, especially the ones that feel out of your wheelhouse. Listen to you even more in those times. Number 4, simplify. Make life simple again. Play with your kids, sleep in, or wake up with the sun. Go through your schedule and get rid of half what you think you need to, and then get rid of even more. Say no to anything that doesn't feel like a yes in your soul. I'm also going to add here, say no to anything that feels like a maybe, or wait for later and then decide. Declutter in a deep and lasting way, so your stuff isn't the focus in life, but people and experiences are. I will also add here that this is a way to not only simplify your surroundings and simplify your schedule, but you will shift energetically. You will notice that you have a different energy about you, and that will promote positive change in every area of your life as well. It's so much less about stuff and so much more about energy. Number 5, nature. Once you have filled your cup to the brim with all the previous ingredients, add in a copious amount of nature in all its forms and in all seasons. Sprinkle in music, dancing, reading aloud, play, and watch the magic unfold. What will you bake, you might ask? Learning, desire for learning, natural learning, without the need for such intense structures or guidelines. You won't be able to stop the learning from happening. It'll burst from them. You will also build a path for yourself, something that you love. And in turn, you'll model learning because that is who you are, a learner, a seeker, a creator. And from this solid relationship with oneself, you may notice a few unintentional side effects. Enjoying the time you spend with your children and others that you love. Increased communication with your partner or other family members. And maybe even doing something daring, something a little wild, a little free. We just arrived home from a 7-month circumnavigation of the globe. What will you create? How will you change the world through changing tiny and not so tiny hearts within your home? I can't wait to see. So that's the end of my article. And I want to offer that whether you're a homeschooling parent or not, that this can be your journey. Whether you are trying to teach your child how to sit at dinner and not spill their food all over the floor, or teach a teenager how to properly deal with social media or tech or screens or relationships, or how to deal with your middle schooler and bullies. It doesn't matter what it is that you're trying to teach them or what you're hoping that they'll learn. That learning comes through relationship. And that learning comes naturally through relationship. As we focus on relationship and connection, that is where the learning grows. It's like putting in every single ingredient we need in the garden. We are there. We're able to give them the water. We're able to give them the sunlight. We're able to give them the soil. And then we just watch what grows. We don't have to pull the seeds out. We don't have to try to open the flowers before they're ready to be open. We just allow the development to happen naturally. And I think sometimes we go in there and we try to manipulate or change or get mad about the seed that we've been given or the length at which it's growing, the time at which it's growing. We get to just wait and we get to watch and we get to enjoy. And I guarantee you that learning will happen naturally. I've had this happen to so many clients and to myself as well, that if we don't push the learning, that it will really come, whether it's reading and writing and arithmetic or whether it's behavior-based. all of that learning will come with time. And all we need to do is just slow down and try to enjoy the ride a little bit more and focus more on relationship and more on connection. And we get to be the guide. We get to show them the way. If we want our children to love learning, we get to model that to them. And we get to model what a healthy, connected, and attached relationship looks like with someone. So I hope this has helped you. You can go check out Wild and Free on Instagram, or they have a magazine you can get out monthly, or you can read the book Wild and Free by Ainsley Armand. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. It was such a wonderful gift for me to be able to speak this out to you on the podcast, but also to write it in the first place. And as I was writing it, I just felt so emotional. I cried as I was writing it because I was like, this feels so true to me. And I can remember how difficult it was. And I can remember the growth that came. And I can now see the beautiful changes that came from me turning inward and from me focusing more on relationship and less on behavior. So if this is something that you want guidance or help or support in, Parent School waitlist is now open for enrollment. We will likely be starting in September or October. So get on the waitlist there, and you can wait eagerly for when it opens. I'm excited for when it opens as well, and we will do this work together. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, I would love for you to help spread the word by getting this message of support and guidance out to as many people as possible. So text it to your best friend or tag me on Instagram and share it. Leave a review, rate it, subscribe it, or follow on your favorite platform. Send me a DM on IG letting me know which parts have impacted you or what you'd like to see on future episodes. We'll see you next week.